to learn a little bit about seed starting this morning. I'm Cindy from Gertens Garden Center and Nursery in Inver Grove Heights. And seed starting can be very, very fun, but there are a few things that you need to make sure that you have in order to be successful. So right off the top, you are definitely going to need a very clean, sterile, small container to plant your seeds in. It does have to be very sterile and clean. Good to start new each year. They come in many forms. You can use little peat pods, you could use plastic. Just make sure they're tiny and geared for seed starting. The next thing you'll definitely need is some seed starter mix. And seed starter mix is very fine. It is sterile. You will not get damping off, which can cause problems with your seedlings when they come up and they just kind of tip over. But if you have the sterile seed starting mix, that is definitely what you're going to need to start your seedlings. Next thing is a little heat mat. So there is a little heat mat right underneath this demo planting here. And a heat mat, what that does, it's going to raise the temperature of the air where you're growing your seeds by about 8 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So by placing a little heat mat underneath that plugs in, you will actually raise the temperature and your seedlings will sprout much easier. That leads to really good success. Lights are very important because without sunshine, your seedlings will elongate, they'll stretch, they just won't do what they need to do. So make sure you do buy a plant light. This is a really nice setup. It goes above your planting and then it can be actually raised and lowered by pulling on the cord and making it shorter or taller, because you always want to keep it right about 2 to 4 inches, sometimes 6 inches above your seedlings as they grow. So light, heat, seed starter mix, and a nice clean container to start your seedlings in. Another nice tool to have as you're starting your seeds would be a little watering can. This one actually has a tiny little rose on the end, which makes a nice fine stream for the seedlings to be watered and not pushed out of their soil. Mister bottles work very nicely too, and you can just kind of go through and mist your plants as they're growing to keep the humidity up. You can put a dome over the top of your seedlings as they're growing too. This little kit right here comes with little peat pellets, a dome, and a tray. That goes over the top, and you leave that on until the seedlings are starting to come up. Now, what do you want to grow? You can grow many things as you're starting seeds. So you can obviously start your vegetables. These are peppers. You can start some salad crops. They work very nicely to start. You want to start with some very good quality seeds with high germination rates. So go to your favorite garden center and get yourself some nice quality seeds that you can start. And then on the back of the packet, you'll see the timing that you need. So if you look at the back, it's going to tell you sprouts in how many days. It's going to tell you when you harvest after you start to plant them. And you'll know exactly how to time your crop. The one thing you don't want to do is start them too early so that they get too big, too fast in your house, and then you have nowhere to put them outside to transplant them. So you definitely want to keep them younger before they get planted outside. And then hardening them off. Get them used to being outside rather than putting them right directly in your garden. You want to make sure that they are hardened off, which takes about 2 weeks of them getting used to the sun and the wind. So a question does sometimes come up when you're planting your seeds and starting them. When should you take them out of their original container they were starting in and put them into a larger container with some actual potting soil? When do you know how to do that? Well, you want to look at your little seedlings. Once they start to get 3 to 5 sets of true leaves, they look like they might be getting a little pale. They're definitely getting bigger. You can then take them out of the pot you started them in and gently take them apart. Either leave them in clumps or you can take them individual. Take your potting soil that you want to plant them into and then put them in a slightly larger pot. And that will help them to grab nutrition and to be able to be then planted to the outdoor elements. And you do want to grow them in this kind of situation for just a little bit of time before they're moved outside. Another question a lot of people have when they're starting seeds is trying to figure out when to start them. Again, if you look at the back of your packet, it's going to tell you how long it takes for them to sprout and then how long it takes for them to mature. So if I look at the back of a basil packet, for instance, this one is going to take 90 days before it reaches this point. So that's like 3 months. So you do want to definitely start them early so that you have them to use in 90 days. So those would get started early on. A lot of people will start their seeds January, February, March, April, just depending on the timing. If I was growing tomatoes, obviously you want a tomato seedling that's going to be maybe about this tall when you're planting it outside. And if you start it too early, say in January or February, you're going to have a plant that wants to go outside in March already. And in Minnesota and the upper Midwest here, we definitely don't want a plant ready to go outside then. We want it ready to go outside the end of May. So you want to back that up a little bit and not start these until March. So timing is kind of everything on your crops. Don't start them too early, don't start them too late. And some you want to directly seed in your garden. So say maybe a zinnia. You could go either way on a zinnia. Those you could plant directly in your garden, or you could start little babies inside and move them outside. How do you know when to move them outside and how do you do that? Well, the temperatures have to be consistently warm during the day and at night. So you don't want to have a chilly night affecting your little babies. You definitely want to have them be consistently warm, and plants really don't like it below 60 when they're babies outside. So you definitely want to make sure that you're moving them outside at just the right time. And sometimes that takes a few days, a few weeks to really get them adjusted. When you have little seedlings, they're not used to the bright sun. They're not used to the wind. They have to be nurtured or hardened off before they can go out there. So a little bit in the morning sun, a little more sun the next day, a little greater sun the following week, and then pretty soon they're ready to go into your garden. You have to gradually put them out there. Couple fun things to do for inside. You can grow sprouts. And I started some sprouts here a week ago. All you need for this is a jar, a little coffee filter or cheesecloth, a colander, and then some sprouting seeds. And I'm gonna definitely recommend you use sprouting seeds. If you use regular seeds, the sprouting seeds are geared for this, the regular seeds are not. These will prevent you from getting bacteria as you eat them. So you wanna make sure you always use sprouting seeds. And the key to success on them is to rinse them twice a day as they are growing. So very important to rinse twice a day and always use sprouting seeds. Then another little fun thing that a lot of folks are getting into right now is juicing. You can grow some wheatgrass, extremely nutritious. I started this again about a week ago. You simply just put them in a little bit of soil, sprinkle some on top, cover them up, and let them grow. Then you can take a scissor and snip them off, put them in your blender, and make yourself some juice. Very nutritious. Wheatgrass. Very fun to grow as well, and you can even use it for a decoration on your table to make a little spring inside your house. Herbs. Herbs are so fun. We have basil, thyme, whatever you'd like to start. Always great to have fresh herbs growing in your house too that you can use in your cooking. So seed starting is pretty easy. Again, I recommend using seed starter to start them. Heat underneath, a light source, keep them moist, not soggy. And then as they grow and they need transplanting into larger containers, make sure you grab yourself a nice potting soil to plant them up in so they can grab a little food. Again, I hope you have some really good success starting seeds and have fun.